So this week I'm looking at my hands and seeing that they have been tainted again or painted with some sort of chemical, or it's been placed in my gloves without my consent. This week I also had several times in the middle of the night that I woke up finding that my gloves were off my hands. I'm not someone who pulls gloves off my hands when I sleep, and I have slept in the cold before, and I usually keep my gloves on me. But what I'm finding is that my hands are now discolored and tainted, and it happened to me once on campus where I really got pox on my hands. It was interesting that yesterday I was visited by Michael, quote unquote, and I know 3 Michaels at least in this neighborhood, but he was a gentleman who gave me kind of a battery pack when I was on campus. I was sort of blown away by that. It was rather expensive gift, and one of the kinder people on campus. He is a National Guard representative, and openly he would occasionally visit me when I would sit down and do some artwork, and tried to bring me some iced tea on occasion. And he did help me a few times, maybe 3 times. He's actually kind of visited me over the course of time, possibly 4. I think yesterday was the 4th. He did provide me some hand warmers, not the brand that I'm accustomed to, but it was kind of him, and it was a bit of a cash thing. I mean, he probably spent $9 on them, if I'm correct. And openly, I don't know if that's interesting or not, but each time he has visited, there has been more of an attack on my face and on my personhood, and I am not going to write it off as if it's not possible that he might be one of the players in the game on my life. In America, we have rights, and today I had an Arab child come at me while I was seated, just had really literally sat down to do a little bit of recording and scripting and brainstorming, and openly he came at me focusing his phone at me as if he was taking a video camera. At the same time, if I'm reminded about the conversation with Michael, he was standing in front of me, practically pointing his phone at me in the most unusual way for him to be listening to his telephone. And openly, I asked him if he was recording me, and he said no, he was not. He was on the phone, and he then allegedly got off the phone, and the person with him shut off their end of the phone. And that way we could talk for minutes. I told him about my challenges with people stealing my electrical cords, for example, for the speaker that I procured in the last 2 weeks or so, and I had a power cord for it, but it's completely gone. I actually had the power cord since I was on campus. I had found it there. I found several of those, but I kept one for me, and it's now gone from my bags. It was also interesting this week that I found a pair of glasses, not mine, in my pack, and I have to presume that it was someone who has a difficult prescription because I put them on. They're not readers. Just to check if they were mine. They were not mine, and openly I know who they were, but I don't really want to say that at this time. But it shows that that man had been in my tent without my consent. In America, we have rights, and I have asked men to stay out of my tent. I've asked women who are not one of the 3 women that I know personally and have an interest in intimately to stay out of my tent. Even if I had biological family members coming at me in the middle of the night, I would expect them to stand outside and talk at me. But before they entered, and that is the truth. Only an intimate partner who is a person of my choice has the right to come in my tent at night, and there are 3 women who know they are. 2 are stars in my books, and 1 I just literally learned about from God. So there is possibly a 4th who'd be welcome. She is an actress, and I'm okay with that. But the bottom line is, don't play as if you're one of them. I won't tolerate that. But there are people who like to play mind games. There are people who like to play in audio files. There are people who are studying how to do reverse engineering or backward masking sort of things. And we used to do that in the late 70s and 80s to try to get people to buy more records. They are probably still doing that. When we're looking at Hollywood, we know there's been a lot of women coming forward about how certain brothers in the industry were getting them to be playthings, and maybe they were using these type of chemistries in their regular drinks, and maybe they were using these type of inaudible audio files in the wings. But we have to be careful today. We have people coming into America that have different attitudes, different positions, and different, well, I don't know what the word is. I guess thoughts about what is and isn't okay in America. What is okay in America are our laws. What isn't okay in America is your thought that you're going to come here as a student, as a visitor, as a refugee, and harm here. And that's not okay. In America, we have rights, and those rights belong to us. We also have responsibilities as American citizens to all the treaties that we are signing at the governmental level by presidents. And if you don't know those treaties because you're not watching the news, I can't help you. But openly, you're still responsible for the standard ones that all of us as adulthood should know about. Human Rights Declaration, right? The actual Constitution of America, the Bill of Rights, saying that we have the right to be safe in our personhood, our paperwork, and our property, that we have right to privacy, we have right to freedom of religion, we have the right to freedom of assembly, and you do not have the right to put any person into slavery. These are pretty fundamental aspects of America.